Hey, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on this little interview series with me for Purposefully Clear. You finished Purposefully Clear in our last cohort a couple of months ago. Now, tell me what you were experiencing prior to joining and what sparked the initial join for you.
What I was experiencing before was very high levels of uncertainty, levels of just feeling like I was just completely not unaware, but just not really knowing any direction. I was sort of trying to problem solve myself. I was trying to sort of make things happen, but would only get so far and then would pull the pin or lose my confidence or not know how to deal with it and then revert backwards. I think I was essentially, for a better word, not that I want to, use that word, but pretty much lost, a little bit fumbling around. And I guess also not really being in a situation where there was other people around me that have experienced other levels, so everyone around me was pretty much almost in the same way or worse off than me in the dark. And so nobody really knew which direction to go to. So yeah.
You felt a bit unsupported, lost and stuck. Would you say that those three words, unsupported, lost and stuck, kind of hit the nail on the head, eh?
Definitely. And even worse than stuck, sometimes it would probably be backwards, facing the wrong direction on many occasions. I'd lose my way and feel like I was going forward, but really when you're in the dark, you have no idea which way you're going. And I think it was always backwards. Yeah.
That analogy I love is like you can set a boat on the ocean, but if it doesn't have a direction, like it's just going to go with the wind, right? It'll kind of just go anywhere. Whereas if you know where you're going, you can literally make things work for you. Based on having felt so down or lost or in the dark, why do you think Purposefully Clear helped you to sort of shift out of that?
I think the biggest part of the clarity pretty much came from regressing within me again and just listening back to me and listening to what I wanted. And because I guess I was, I still am a people pleaser, but not to that extent anymore. It would always be at my detriment. And so I never really understood what I actually wanted. You'd ask me questions about what I wanted and I don't know. What would you like? Because that's what I want. And it was just so much easier to just do what other people wanted because you didn't want to upset any apple carts or anything like that, or feel that way, that guilt, that shame, that, those horrible feelings. You just try and, refocus from them the whole time. So I guess it was going back within me and taking it back to almost like a stripped bare, which is really weird to say now because I know I'm smiling and I know I look very happy about it, but it was not a happy time. It was not.
You're not meant to say that, Sarah. No, I'm joking.
It's weird.
It was a revelationary and clarity-ridden time, right?
So it feels really weird talking about it, and even when I do sometimes journal about it, and I did, this morning, and just to sort of like get what was my feelings around it and everything, but I just kept going off tangent into what I was grateful for today and all the rest of it, because it's so hard to try and focus on that. Like my mind doesn't actually want to not to think about it, but it's weird. It almost feels like it's another person. Like I feel like
it's such a past time now because you've come so far. How far do you feel that you've come since we first initially signed up? Because you joined my Reignite Your Spark challenge. Was that the one that you joined? So I did a free 5-day challenge.
Yep.
Sarah joined that. Then you joined Purposefully Clear. So think about the version of you when you joined the Reignite Your Spark challenge versus the version of you finishing up Purposefully Clear. Like what differences have you seen in yourself?
I don't want to sound really cliche and really sort of.
Please do. Give us all the cliche lines. Sell us on it.
The level of happiness and the level of clarity and the level of purpose is all of those things it's incredible. Like when I did sign up to that 5-day one that you ran, I was like, I've got nothing to lose, because it was literally like, come and see what it's about. And within those 5 days, I couldn't believe what my mind was thinking in sporadic thoughts. Like all of a sudden I'd be thinking about something, or I'd be more interested in something I wouldn't normally be interested in. And that for me was when it started to sort of like gain that momentum. And I knew that was me putting on the hiking boots, so to speak, ready for the hike. And so I knew that if I didn't start that hike now, well, it would be wasting those boots, because that's what the 5 days started, was me putting on the boot to get ready. Going from that 5 day into the Purposely Clear, like to now, I literally feel like I've shed layers of stigmas that I held on to, that people perceived me to be, or that I needed to act like, or I needed to reply like, or I needed to behave like I didn't feel like there was any one time that I could just be like, no, don't like that. Sorry for you. Moving on. Oh yeah, I do like that. Oh, I'm interested in this. And I never felt like I had a voice. I always felt like I was just, muted, I guess. I found the volume button.
So good. So would you say that you essentially drowned out your own desires and tended to everyone else's needs, and then you felt somewhat empty, isolated, and disconnected?
Oh, definitely. 100%. Yeah, very, very empty. And I guess when you're empty, you actually feel even worse, because you don't even know how else to give you to people. So you never really showed up.
You default into those quote unquote naughty behaviors that we all have. Some of us online shop, some of us drink a lot of wine, some of us over exercise, some of us overeat, like some of us smoke cigarettes, some of us binge watch shows, scroll on socials. And did you notice that the more unhappy you were, the more predisposed you were to those sort of behaviors, versus when you start to fill your own cup with the things that you learn in Purposefully Clear, the less inclined you are to go down that road, because you actually feel quite happy, like your baseline is a lot brighter.
Yes, oh, totally. I did know that I did like to do a lot of online shopping. And then when we delved into it a bit in Purposely Clear as to that addiction side of things, because that's effectively what because you're looking for something to appease a emotion that you're trying to get from it. Yes. So you're suppressing it through. And I guess for me, it was like it was only a small amount of time of reward, and then you just move on for the next thing. And then that's how you know that it's actually not what you need. It's not what actually is filling your cup, because you're constantly trying to refill by using the same default, over exercising for sure, really, really strict on food intake, all those things, and then going through the other end of, no, I'm not going to buy anything, I'm abstaining 100%, oh, I'm not going to exercise at all, or I'm going to binge at all, and then you just go back again to that other side. So there was never really that balance, that sort of like that median in the middle of having everything nicely balanced, just in a really good way. And that's, I'm not there yet, not really in the middle, but I have longer moments now of being in the middle and being able to clearly see a case of clarity. It's an eye-opening that you almost take a step back and are able to witness it for yourself, even though you didn't want to begin with.
It's ironic, isn't it? Because what you don't want to do and what we have the most resistance toward is typically the thing that sets us free.
Definitely.
And would you say you feel a lot more free now, like a lot clearer and a lot more free in your life? Like you don't have to give yourself all these hard and fast rules as much?
No, definitely not. I feel completely, I just feel cracked, like I feel like I'm cracking at the moment. And so that Purposely Clear started those cracks for me to start to be able to be me through them and feel confident to be me through them, because there were certain times in my life where I was, and then you'd get squashed. You wouldn't know how to sort of get over the squashness, so you just regress back, and it will probably be even worse because you'd put another layer on. When I started the Purposely Clear, there was a lot of layers that I had to get through to get under, and can't say that I agreed with every time that we would try and crack those layers. But I guess now looking back, it's like, you know, what was the problem? Like, this is such a feeling of being totally absorbed in my life now. That's how I feel. I feel completely
present.
Yeah, 100%.
So if someone was battling with similar patterns that you had, say the over restrictiveness or just the not enjoying life, right? The riches of life that we have available to us, and they were punishing themselves and had a lot of negative self-talk, why would you recommend Purposefully Clear to them?
You don't want to do this sort of life for the next 10, 20, 30 years. Like, it's just not worth it. In terms of like my actual life itself, it was really good. My external life, is really good. You know, I've got stuff that I want. I was able to get what I wanted. I have a loving, supportive husband, really supportive family to that degree, because we're all working on things now. But I guess within me, I just never felt like I was truly enjoying all of that. Now I enjoy it, and I enjoy it tenfold. So it's not like, you don't have to feel like, you know, you're in the gutter and it's an awful life, and you've got, you know, everybody's got issues. That's you know, what makes us human at the end of the day. But it's the case of like, I've just taken my level of being, what's the word? It's just being
like existing.
Yes. Yeah. Like that level of just existence. And now it's like, it's just keeps going up and up into how I feel about hanging out with friends and family and being open towards things that I would never have been open towards, and enjoying everything. I've still got the same sort of materialistic things, but they just feel so different. They feel so much better and so much more enriching. And I'm able to choose what I like. I've shifted all that sort of lots more materialistic into more of a balance of an experience with a materialistic. And so I'm just wanting to be present in more things, because that's what's giving me that real deep connection to myself. You know, I never thought that I'd go and sit in the garden for 20 minutes. You know, I'd go for a walk, I'd go for a run, I'd go for, you know, a grueling exercise outside, but you never really have the time to actually sit down and enjoy it. And now you just sit down and you just take 10, 15 minutes out, and it's literally like, it's like soul fire. That's the only way to describe it.
And what do you notice now when you're sitting in the garden that you may have not noticed prior to working with me?
Life. Everything. It's great. It sounds so weird and so strange, and
it's not
bordering on like, you know, like that sort of thing. But until you do it, it's like, I just don't even know how, and I explain it to people.
Life goes from like gray to color. It's like dull to bright, dark to day.
And you just feel everything breathing, you know, like I feel like, because I think I was so restricted, and I guess that's like a control thing, and, you know, orchestrated and so structured, and everything had it, you know, and so you don't feel like you felt bound, I guess, but you don't know you feel bound, because you think this
you've released yourself from your own self-imposed prison.
Totally. And it's like a breath, like you can just feel everything, and it's like, wow, this has all been here this whole time. And I just feel like it's amazing that I get to be a part of what's happening now. But yeah, there's not many people that I'd say that to in that context, because you just get that sort of look. But when they've tried it themselves, for just that little snippet of people that I've spoken to, they've been like, oh, I just went and sat in the garden for 20 minutes yesterday, and wow, you're right, that's weird. And I'm like, I know, how cool. Like, it's literally sitting in the garden.
It doesn't even cost any money. It's crazy. So now tell me, why me? Why would you choose to work with me for this journey back to self?
I don't know how I got put onto your 5-day. I really have no idea how that happened. That was just something.
Universe, baby.
That was something that worked out there, 100%. what made me then move forward, I guess, is your realism. I think that's what I connected to the most, was that it's real, it's raw, it's not going to be pretty, it's not going to be easy, but what you'd always say is that what's coming out on the other side is just tenfold. And I love your analogies. All your quirky analogies.
I know, the metaphors just all the time.
And I just laugh at them. And then after it's just because it makes so much sense with me. And, you know, peeling off the board thing, like, you know, I do that all the time now. And I think about just peeking and I'm like, rip it, let's go. And it's just.
It's just another analogy for like ripping off the Band-Aid, right? Except you're not covered in Band-Aids. You've got all these little boards on the house that you've created for yourself, which is your little prison. And it's like, peep through the board, you're like, fuck it, let's just rip that board off and that one, and oh my god, look, I'm free, I could walk outside, I'm no longer imprisoned. Yes.
I just feel like I have, in a way, I'm finding me. Like, I started that journey within Purposefully Clear to find me and to now start living for me. And it's not that I'm saying bugger everybody else, be selfish, blah, 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 blah. It's just about being more in tune with yourself and being more true to yourself. And when you're more true to yourself, the less feelings you have of guilt and shame and and all those negative little things, you know, like and not loving yourself and all the rest of it. Like now it's just like, wow, I can't believe that I was able to get to that within that amount of time. And so moving forward into the next one, to the next one, into the next, that's what gets you sort of really invigorated, because you're like, this is just absolutely crazy. Would never, I can't even explain it. Would never be able to explain it to somebody. I'm trying.
You're doing a great job. Your body language is explaining it. You're like, it's crazy, it's amazing, it's wild, it's bizarre. Now tell me about the investment piece, like, because you've got to invest, you know, it's a significant portion of money to a lot of people. And it's like, a lot of people can go, oh, I'm spending that money on Brooke so I can make her rich. But at the end of the day, what does it do for you when you invest that money?
I know that it's monetary to you, you know, like as in terms of like, yes, people can say that, oh, you know, this is what Brooke can make. And if she's got 4 people doing it and 3 people, and then they start putting these figures together and they've got all this. But honest to God, it's like, for me, I pretty much gave myself a blank check. Like I wrote you money and I gave me a blank one. And that's pretty much the way that I look at it. I have been given this opportunity to pretty much grow so much more than what I could have done by myself without that support, without safety. Because, you know, if you can have a lot of support from people, but if you don't feel safe, you never have that true release. You've got to think about what's important. If it's important to you, you'll make a plan. And if it's not, you'll make an excuse. And it was important to me. So I made a plan. You just have to make things work. You think about how you can do it. You think about what can happen. And once you've put that plan into place and you start believing that that plan can come to fruition and you start really envisaging that that's what can happen, it bloody does.
It bloody does. How bizarre, right? It's like, this is my vision. Let me just take all these baby steps towards it. Oh, I feel unsafe. Doesn't matter. I've got a group of great women to catch me. Oh my God, it's okay. And then you're like, wow, I'm living the thing that I wanted to live. This is wild. Don't know how it happened.
Absolutely. It is. It's totally wild. And, you know, at the end of the day, I think also when you invest in yourself, you're actually telling yourself that you are worth it. Always putting somebody else first, you're telling them that you are substandard. You are absolutely taking that second place position and you're allowing them to give it to you. But when you invest in yourself and you're telling yourself, no, I'm worth it, this is what I'm going to do, something clicks within you. You know, you get that level of commitment because you have to, because you know that you've got to show up even when you don't want to. And that's something as well, because some days you don't really want to open that Zoom because you just know that it's coming. It's going to come from everywhere, and those hard questions are going to get asked, and you have to ask those hard questions to us. And so we have to be there to answer them. It's not going to help us if we're not. So that also pushes you there, because you're like, I've invested in myself. I've got to show up. So.
And nothing is as unsafe as what we perceive it to be, right? Hesitancy, or what I call the anticipatory anxiety around getting on the Zoom. It's like, it's never as bad once you're on the Zoom and you're supported and you're fleshing out questions and we're talking things through. You're like, okay, this is nowhere near as bad as what I thought. But the initial stage is our brain, which you've now learned is ego, Voldemort, V-Man, we call him, wants to go, Sarah, don't do that, wants to keep you safe, wants to keep you within that prison. And this work allows you to feel liberated. It allows you to be safe and secure within a group, so you can keep ripping off those boards to the better version of yourself, to the more healed version of yourself, to the happier, more present, more content version of you. Yeah
100%. It's that containment that will keep you not being able to fulfill yourself. And when you don't have those right questions being asked, because you do know them deep down, but Mr. V-Man there, he's pretty loud, and he knows how to silence everybody else that you should be listening to. And because you've been listening to him for so long, everybody else may have given up, gone home, closed their door for a while, because they just, they don't want to put up with it. So he pretty much gets silenced more and more, and everybody else starts to speak up. And before you know it, you're doing all sorts of shit you said you weren't gonna.
And it's awesome.
And feeling amazing about it. Yeah.
I would love to know, Sarah, what your key takeaways are from Purposefully Clear specifically that you now apply in your life regularly, because they help you so much. I'd love to know what they are for you.
I'd love to know what they are for me too, Brooke. I have no idea, like, the ins and outs of it, because I'm not really a what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not really a writing down sort of like very paper-based sort of person. It's really all the feelings that I took away, the feeling of just being able to be happier, be more present in my relationship with my husband, being more present within my relationships, working towards with my sisters and my mom, and being able to live within a life that I really just want to be in. It's great. Not that I didn't want to be in before, but it was really,
no, but it makes sense, really, right? It's like you weren't like lit up by life. You're like, this is a bit of a drag.
It was, and you were always looking for something to light yourself up. So you would jump from thing to thing. Oh, that's going to light me up. Oh, that's going to light me up. Oh, that will light me up. I'll do this new. And when you come back to it, maybe the biggest thing, actually, to be fair, is the real appreciation for time and presence. That has been huge. Like, monetary things has really started to dwindle within my life, because it's just starting to be less and less needed. Like, it's not something that I reach for straight away. I'm really feeling so content with being present in what I'm doing in the small things, that it's just lighting up everything. So good.
Thank you, Sarah. I think you've said it all, and I'm so grateful. I loved having you on the journey, and we're obviously still on a 20-week journey. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Brooke.
Wow.